Hello, and welcome to another episode, which is quite special, like more special because it's a shout out and encouragement, to all fathers, aspiring fathers, would be fathers, about to be fathers, and fathers actually, getting their hands, to work in the farmland and the garden of fatherhood. So this is dedicated for the Father's Day. By the way, happy International Father's Day. Today, the 18th of June 2023. I'm busy, but I don't want to be too busy to not attend to this because I noticed that there has not been enough attention on men. The attention has always, in recent decades, been on women. And anytime the spotlight is on men, it's always, most of the time, in a negative light. So I think today, which is a man's day in more ways than one, we should talk about men and their importance in our society. So once again, welcome to another episode of Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman. I am Ade Oluwa, and today, which is Father's Day, I have work to do and all that, but I just have to do this because I had the privilege and the opportunity to have a great dad. He taught me a lot of things. He taught me my journey into the spirituality and the way it is not religious. We moved from religious to being dedicated, but he was always dedicated anyway. So he learned along the way. He would teach us some things. I remember, when we used to do the sign of the cross, and my dad said one day that we should stop doing that. And I realized that it was based on revelation for him. He didn't tell us what he saw. This is something he's been doing since he was a child, right? But he said we should stop doing that. And then we used to burn incenses. We're from he was born into the Anglican Communion. So those are things they do there, But as time, as time progressed, and he began to see some things differently based on personal conviction, right? So he was the spiritual leader of our home, I'm saying was because he's gone to be with the Lord now. His place has been really, there's just some people that they're irreplaceable, and that was my dad, but because he's taught us well, and we're able to now stand on our own, though it was not easy. It was not easy, still not easy, But he taught us, he taught my mother and I. When I say us, I mean my mother and I. And so there are so many things I learned from him. He was a spiritual leader of the family. He was, but he was humble. He was approachable. He was the leader of the family as well. I think he just put my mother in charge of me in terms of, what a woman would need or what a girl would need, that sort of thing. But in terms of building a human being, building a humane being, building a wholesome person, he was in charge of that. And it wasn't the I am in charge, hear me roar kind of thing. No, it's that now that I've grown up, I just realized that a lot of things I learned is that my father, gently and patiently and lovingly taught me these things And one of the ways he taught me was that he listened to me. My daddy doesn't talk much. I do most of the talking. And I think from me talking, he knew what was in my head. He got to know what was in my mind. He got to understand me better. And he knew sort of how to reach me. By the time someone allows you to talk, you are kind of exhausted. And so whatever it is they're telling you, you're even too exhausted to even reply. And so you have emptied yourself, quote and unquote, and now you're there to, you can now listen. Yeah. So you can now hear what they're saying. But if you have something on your mind and no one is listening to you, it's sort of like if you have something on your mind and like no one is listening and all, you find it hard to listen to other people, right? So I learned that from my dad, to listen to others if I really care about them. That's how you get to understand somebody. That is how you get to know them better. That is how you get to reach them as well. I'm sorry, I'm cooking. Yeah, so that's how you get to reach them and all that. And so it was a very amazing relationship I had with my dad. Like, I was closest to my dad than my mom. So why am I saying all this? It's not just to shall we say, eulogize my dad, but to let you know, for any man listening and even a woman, understand that the place of a man is irreplaceable. It doesn't make a woman less of a woman if a man is in her life. It makes her life more complete, just like it makes the life of a man more complete when a woman is in his life, So we are all here for one another, and we have our place, our roles, our own contributions to this ecosystem called humanity. And so fathers are very, very important. And there is a dearth, let's say, of inspiring and quality fatherhood, in the world today. Men who are trying to be fathers, sometimes they have women, getting in the way of it. Like, it's like they want to be in control of everything and all of that. And I'm just like men have to be just more assertive. You understand? I want men to rise up and fight for their rights to be men. I want men to rise up and fight for their rights to be fathers, right? In the issue of abortion, who owns a child, who is responsible for a child, though a child grows in its mom, right? Though a child grows in its mom, you need to also assert your right as a contributor to what happened there. But at the same time, you also have to be very careful of who you pour your seed into, if you get my drift. Like, you don't just pour into any woman and expect that you will get. Some women, they've chosen to become baskets. Like, when you pour into them, they just drain it out. And when I say pour right now, I don't just mean semen or sperm, anything, So you have to be sure. Don't get carried away by oh, she's exciting. And I think that is usually the problem with men. They want, or women too. I mean, to be fair, but we are talking about men today. When it's time to talk about women, maybe on Women's Day we'll talk about women. But today I'm talking to you men, right? I understand that, excitement and everything, but find excitement in your life. Like, find excitement in your life that has nothing to do with women. That way you would want to be with somebody that is your kind, Do you get? So instead of being with a woman that you will like the woman that is your kind. Let me say that again. Instead of being with a woman that you like, you end up liking a woman that is your kind, because you have found yourself, you have found peace, you have found excitement, fun outside of women. Like, women have nothing to do with the kind of fun you have. It might be in creating something. And I think that there is an artist and a creator in every man. And why did I say that? I remember watching what is it called now? I remember watching One Night with the King, and Xerxes he had this table where he had all kinds of different figurines in different stages of molding. They were not perfect, they were not well sculpted or anything, but like that was his plaything, And I think it's healthy, because every man needs something to like do with his hands outside of his responsibility as a father, as a provider or something. He needs something. And for a guy like that, being in touch with nature in terms of molding is something. So for you, it might be taking care of an animal, it might be taking care of a plant. And I think every man should have a plant, not just an animal, because I think that having an animal thing is not helping men at all, because they somehow begin to find familiarity or something in plants. I think every man should have a flower he's wetting, he's tending, and all of that, because the first thing, God placed Adam in the garden, and that is not a mistake. He placed them in a garden to tend the garden. If God wanted the first contact of man to be animals, he would have placed him among animals before placing him among plants. So he placed him in a garden, not just among trees, in a garden. There's a difference. Like, garden has this, when you think of a garden, you think of something colorful, something that is not necessary that you have to eat it, right? It's not something you are planting because you want to eat it. It's something that you take care of because they're beautiful, they're useful in their own way. And so when you have things that you have to protect, but you are not eating from it, you can't eat flowers, but it needs protection. I think it does something to a man's psyche. It heals them, right? And so you should have at least one flower, any type of flower that you choose. Just have a flower that you wet, you tend to, you take care of. You're not eating it. It's not something you have to eat. That you take care of, you tend to, and all of that. If you can have a bed of roses or a bed of marigold or a bed of lily or something, have that. And as we're talking about that, it also reminds me that this is the men's mental health month. I just read of that somewhere, and we've not seen on Twitter, I hadn't seen much of anything written or said about the mental health of men, and that is really sad. And so I when I heard about it, I just had to keep it in mind that I need to talk about that. And today on Father's Day, I'm telling you, one of the ways that you can take care of your mental health is that you need to have a connection with Jehovah Elohim through Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. You need to have that. Then you need to have a connection with nature through a garden. Have your own garden of flowers. If you can have different flowers, in fact, I recommend you have different flowers. Create a bed for it. Tend to it, take care of it. There is something that is mentally soothing, especially for men, when they're doing something like that, where you tend to flowers, something that you can't eat from. Learning to cook is good, but when you cook, you eat it. So your ability to tend to something that is not edible gives you a healthy appreciation for women, because women are like flowers. They're beautiful to behold, they smell nice, they look nice. But when you have this mindset of watering, caring for, you don't feel the need to expect something in return when you protect a woman, when you do something nice for a woman, when you're there for a woman. Your mind is not going to, so what do I get from this? Like, what do I get? Your mind is not there. It also helps you to raise your daughters. Your daughters need you. When you have daughters, they need you. Try and understand that. Your sons need you as well. But I will tell you this. If I didn't have my father in my life, I would probably be a very hateful woman. And so that's why I feel a bit sad, even though I'm annoyed with women that are just hateful. They are calling for death of men, and I'm saying men did not get pregnant for men, while women got pregnant with women. Women got pregnant with both men and women. We birthed them. So when you say men should be cancelled, you are cancelling a woman because you are making a mockery of her sacrifice. But that's another topic for another day. Don't just sit there and say you have been sidelined. You also have to understand that this all started with you. Maybe not you directly, but your ancestors who were men. They watched as other men did horrible things to women, and they just didn't say anything. They watched brothels being erected, bars being erected, women being the center of entertainment, and they did not put their foot down and say, no, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. Like I said, you need to have a kind of fun that has nothing to do with women, which means you can't be doing commercial sex worker thing. You can't be watching shows where women are dancing scandalously. You can't be going to strip clubs or whatever. You can't, anything that has to do with women, find your fun outside that. That is how that is why you have a healthy mentality, and you build emotions that are healthy. Indulging in the disgrace of women, it makes you very dull when it comes to rising against injustice. And now injustice is now against you everywhere. It has come full circle. Because because it's like they say, if you're eating, you can't talk or something. And so men will see a woman being mistreated, but because they go to these places for entertainment, they don't talk because they don't want their entertainment to be cut off, so they keep quiet. Find joy in arts, find joy in music, maybe playing a musical instrument or something. These are things that help your mental health. Connect with other men. Have a mandate where you guys go out, go mountain climbing, if that's your thing, although I don't recommend it. But if that's your thing, go hiking, something, go camping, go on retreats where you guys just talk about stuff and just see a doctor. If anytime you feel stressed, see a doctor. There are male psychologists out there, and they would understand you. I think they will understand you better. Like a woman can understand you, but with the way things are, I wouldn't recommend that you go to a woman. If you're having issues, don't just go to the doctor anytime you feel a twinge. Learn to express your emotions. When women feel like crying, they cry. And then people go, "Aww." If you feel like crying, cry. Do you understand? If anyone mocks you, sue them. Stand your ground. You have a right to express yourself. As long as you are not harming anybody physically, why shouldn't you talk? Why shouldn't you raise your voice? If a woman can raise her voice, so can you. It shouldn't be your voice if your voice is your fault if your voice is deeper. Yes, try and calm down. I get it. But if a woman raises her voice at you, tell her to lower her voice. Don't allow anybody to bully you. Band together with other men so that you can protect yourselves together. Whenever you feel pain anywhere, don't just say, I'm a man, I can take a little pain. No, don't take any little pain. Don't just take it unless the doctor tells you that it is normal. Eat healthy. Exercise. Pray. Praise God. Have a connection. Have a relation. Your relationship with God is very important. Don't take that for granted. You need it. You need it because that's your anchor. That's your source. You're made in God's image. And if you disconnect from your source, you're disconnected everywhere else. You become unhinged. And then you either become a danger to society or you allow other men to become danger to society. A lot of things that are happening with good men is because sometimes they allow the bad men get away with stuff. And I'll say this. Make it your duty to not allow any man just do what they like. When you see a man do something wrong, call that man out. Call that man out. When you see women, so don't just say, well, women want to be leaders. No, you lead by example. You lead by example. There's some things you don't allow where you are at. You know what to do. Don't be afraid. So what if they sue you? You sue them right back. As long as what you're doing is for the moral good of the society, protecting morality, protecting humanity. Don't be afraid to face even your government. Rise up, stand up. But for you to do that, you need to be, like I said, hinged and connected to God. Like where you and God you hang out all the time in the garden. You know, the Bible says in the beginning that God comes in the cool of the day in the garden. So that garden you're tending where you're not even eating from, if you tend it well enough, God comes in there to talk to you. Don't feel the need to change yourself to... Here's the thing. If you're anchored to your maker, those who are cross-dressing and changing their gender from male to female, is because they are unhinged from their maker. And because they are unhinged from their maker, they became unhinged everywhere else. Same thing with men who are pedophiles, who are rapists, and so on. Now, it's not enough for you to just say, I'm a good man. as well. Make sure that good is what is happening around you, that you don't allow bad things happen around you. You don't watch bad things happen around you. You come against any bad thing that is happening around you. That is how you're a good person. You're not just a good person for yourself and leave it at that. No, that good, you have to go about like Jesus did, doing good, getting justice for people. Your goodness is not supposed to be static. It's not. It has movement. It's supposed to move. Your goodness must be a movement. It can't be stationary. It can't just be trapped within you. No, it is a movement. Make the goodness in you into a movement that spreads from you into your family, into your environment, into your workplace, into your church, into your places of worship. You make the goodness. If every good man makes their goodness a movement, the world will be a better place. The reason the world is in a chaotic place is because men have become timid. I'm sorry to say. I don't know what they're afraid of. But then, like I said, the Bible says, not even I, it's the Bible in the book of Daniel, that they that know their God shall be strong and they shall do exploits. So for your goodness to be a movement, which is an exploit, you have to know your God. And for you to know God, you have to have a relationship with Him. And for you to have a relationship with Him, you have to stay connected to God, whose name is Elohim Adonai, the great I am, the beginning and the end. Your strength is not in your muscles alone. Your strength is in who you know. That is God. If you know God, you'll be strong. So when you know God and you're strong, you're able to stand against the enemy in whichever form or shape they come. Be it in the form of another man, being abusive to women, or bullying children. Be it in the form of a woman who is acting like a Jezebel, trying to rule over everybody. You'll be able to stand up against such as the Spirit of God gives you inspiration and unction to do. Sometimes standing up might be to physically look at the woman or the man and say, stop doing this, it's wrong. It might also mean that you have to pray. You have to intercede for your community. When you stand up to be strong, to do exploit, you're able to, the world will become balanced again. The only time men see bad these days is when somebody who speaks a different language, who looks different, who is from the border, is doing something to them. But start from home. Charity, they say, begins at home. What is being done to you or to the good people in your family, that if somebody from another country does it, you will take up weapons to fight. You have to fight from inside out, not from outside in. You don't condone or look the other way when someone is doing something, but when within your jurisdiction, but when somebody is doing it outside your jurisdiction, it becomes a problem. Wherever you see good men, connect with them and, be the light of this world. Be the light. Don't let anybody tell you to tone down your manness or that you are too manly. No, be that person that God has inspired you to be. A protector, a provider, a peacemaker, a peace lover, a man of love, a man of courage, a man of strength, a man of laughter, a man of justice, a man of kindness, a man of that is caring, a teacher, a trainer, a mentor. Replicate the goodness in you, in your children, both male and female, because at the end of the day, they already have your DNA. So teach them the best part of you. Let them learn from you. Let your wife learn from you. One good thing, like one of the things I noticed that some men of old do that are, is that they teach their wives how to fight. There are men who taught their wives how to fight, how to defend themselves. They taught their wives how to fight, or the woman they love, to defend herself. The things they know, they taught her. So when you have your transferring legacies, when you teach, and that is why, like I said earlier, be grounded in God so that it will be easier for you to like your kind. Every animal has its own kind, and they were paired with their own kind, male and female. You have your own kind as a man. So if you find yourself being attracted to women that are not your kind, then you need to go back to your maker and anchor yourself to him again. And learn how to tend the garden. And learn from him. So that you get to that point in your psyche where you are reset. There is a reset and you connect to your kind. Because when you don't connect to your kind, there will be no continuity. As men, if you do not connect to your kind, you don't have continuity. What guarantees continuity for you is that you connect with your kind. That's why gay people can't have children from themselves, because they are not of the same, like they are not paired with their kind, with the opposite that is their kind. They are paired with themselves. How do you pair with yourself and expect to reproduce? Or there to be a continuity? So what guarantees continuity is that you go for the female, your female kind. Your kind that is female. Not just anybody's kind. Don't go and steal somebody's wife because you like her. You won't, there won't be continuity. And then all the things you've worked hard for, what you've built, it's women that guarantee continuity, not just by giving birth. And I can tell you that for free. There are so many things that my mother is doing right now because it was my father's dream. Do you understand what I'm telling you right now? Because it was my father's dream, it was my father's vision. And she's on my case to do the same. When you marry your kind, continuity is guaranteed. She will support you in building a legacy. You build a legacy together. And if God takes you before her, she continues from where you stop. Because you're able to train and guide somebody who is your kind. You're able to impart them. If they are not your kind, they will not get it. They won't even be interested. So most of the issues that you men are having is because you have put God last. In fact, some of you don't even have God in your life at all. You don't, and maybe because you've been hurt by some people who call themselves Christians, who call themselves people of God. They've hurt you and harmed you and then told you that they have the right to do it. And it seems like they got away with it. But it wasn't God that hurt you. So you need to find your way back to God and connect with your source. That way you can source properly into your kind of woman. You will become your own kind again. You become whole again. You come together again. I want you to read Proverbs 31 or Proverbs 30. I think you will even learn enough. Just read Proverbs from Proverbs 1. A mother was telling a king that don't give your strength to women or to strong drink. And then she began to talk about the virtuous woman. So first of all, he has to take his mind off women. You know, the women that are not his kind. He has to take his mind off that and off drink before he can really focus on a virtuous woman or even try to find her, because she has to be found. It has said earlier in the book of Proverbs that he who findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtaineth favor from the Lord. So if you want to get to the business of finding the right woman, you have to disconnect. Your fun cannot be with women. Your fun has to be something a little bit more earthy, a little bit more creative. That's something that connects you to nature and to God. That should be where your fun lies. If it doesn't lie there, you're not ready to have dominion, to be strong, to subdue the earth. You're not ready. What is happening to most men right now is that they are being dominated, they are being subdued. Multiplication is happening against them. Like everything that God blessed man at the beginning to be is now turning against him. But if you turn back to God, your maker, who put breath in you, like it is because of him that you live, because he placed his spirit within you. And when God places his spirit in you, he makes you in his kind and in his image. That means you're a leader, you're a creator, you're an inventor. But if you don't connect to your source, those things that should come natural to you become subdued and eventually dies. But it can come alive again only if you connect to your source. It's like a switch. It's like when you put something into a socket where there is electricity, things start to work. But sometimes it reminds me of what they were saying about wiring, how men are wired, And it brings me to electricity. Like, if the wiring has been burnt or is faulty, if you try to connect it to electricity, the least that can happen is that appliance will not work. The worst that can happen is that the appliance will blow, or it will shock somebody to death. So since we want to use wiring to describe men, don't claim a wiring that is inhumane. Like, claim a wiring of polygamy, claim a wiring of violence. That means the wiring is faulty. And if you know that an iron is faulty, you don't just keep using it like that, because you could get yourself killed. No, you fix it. So you have to take yourself back to your maker to fix you. If you feel wired, for example, to be attracted to men, that means your wiring has been tampered with somewhere. It doesn't matter where. Go back to God to help you fix you. If you're wired in a way that you always feel like being violent, being aggressive, your wiring, it has issues. Go to your manufacturer, whose name is God, through Jesus Christ, so that he can fix you up and reset your wiring, or even have to change your wiring, especially if the wire has burnt. Maybe your wires have burnt, and that's why you are malfunctioning. Your wires have been twisted the wrong way. That's why you are malfunctioning. You're doing the opposite of things that should be natural to you. What should come naturally to you, you are not interested. You're interested in something that is unnatural. Sexually, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. If you know that there is something you're doing that you cannot accept or take, or you don't appreciate kindness, you just like the idea of someone being mean to you, being cruel to you, causing you pain, something is wrong with your wiring. Don't just accept it as that. Go to God, go to your source, go to your manufacturer. When your iron or your car has issues, you take it to a professional to fix it for you. And a lot of times these days, you take it to the dealership, you take it to the workshop of the brand you bought that vehicle or that appliance from. Because at the end of the day, you can take yourself to a psychologist. A psychologist is like a mechanic, but a mechanic is not the manufacturer, and nobody can fix a product better than the manufacturer. They can do a good job of it. I recognize that. They can do a very good job of it, but there is very good and there is the best. Now, with a manufacturer, they know what the problem is as soon as you take it there. And you see, here is the thing, you also have to be patient, because most of the time when you take your appliances to a manufacturer, there is a process and you have to leave it there. I've noticed you have to leave it there. You can't sit there and wait. You have to leave it there. Isn't that interesting? Like, you have to leave it there. The ones that are good, they fix it in your presence and give it back to you and all that. But if you take it to the manufacturer, even they would go deep to check. Even if they fix the issue, they will check everything else to make sure. And sometimes they might tell you, look, We have to change this. You can't use it anymore. So they might give you a discount. So you have to cut a deal to get brand new. Then they will collect that one you have. It's the same thing with Jehovah God and yourself. So if your wires have been twisted so much, if things have gone really bad and burnt within you, if you take your life to a psychologist, they can only help you to manage the situation. But when you take yourself to the one who made you, who molded you, who breathed in you, he is the one who has your spare parts. He is the one who can change your wiring and replace what is burnt within you. All he has to do is just take you back to his factory and replace what needs to be replaced, change what needs to be changed. He is the one that can give you a complete overhaul, a complete makeover. There is more to you that needs to be expressed, but as long as you accept mediocrity, as long as you accept the barest minimum because of the little fun that you have, because of the illicit fun that you think that is what your life is about, ability to drink, to watch women debase themselves, to pay women to debase themselves, to gain the respect of, or rather attention of other men. If we remove money from you, what else do you have? There has to be more to you, and there is. But if you don't connect to God, it would not. It's like if you don't connect an appliance to something, it won't work. So if you are disconnected from your maker, you can paint yourself with anything you want. You can, but you're not functioning properly. Walk back towards God if you've left. Every step you take away from God is a step towards weakness and exploitation. You have to watch the world fall apart around you, and you're just not able to do anything about it. But if you want to be that person God has said you are at the beginning, find your way back to God. Connect with Him. Ask Him to teach you how to build a garden. Help you build a garden and help you tend it. So that you can build a legacy that is worth continuing. And it's from God you will get your theme. Your theme might be legacy of hope. Yours might be, another person could be legacy of strength or courage or wisdom. That's where you get your theme from. And by the time you get that, you are able to recognize your kind when you see her. Because at the end of the day, if your wiring is twisted, you will not find a woman whose wiring is okay, attractive. No. You can only connect. If you are dysfunctional, you can only connect or be attracted to dysfunction. Fear not, for God is with you. Be not dismayed. That's in Isaiah 41. Now in Proverbs it says to guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. If each one can reach one, then each one can teach one. What a better world we'll have. You're your brother's keeper. You're your sister's keeper. So show love just because. That's one man's quotation. God rest his soul. Charles B was his name. Don't be afraid. For God has not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. So whatever you are afraid of, take it to God. If your mind is not sound, you're having mental health issues, go to God to help you identify what you're afraid of. And God will help you fix it and you become better again. And they that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploit. I hope by this time next year, the coming year of our Lord, if Jesus tarries in his coming, that at the next International Father's Day, you can look back and say, you have begun a movement of goodness. And you have started a movement or a legacy that is founded in God through Christ Jesus. Happy International Father's Day. Shalom.